Right, hello YouTube. Today we're gonna do a spectate from wait, right? That I just saw on the Discord that was happening, and it should be a good one from what I see. We just need to be patient a little bit to have the game starting correctly, and yeah. So I myself have been struggling on the ladder, so 20 seconds, okay. Yeah, so not really good. I mean, I could. There's one thing I could do for this channel is like include my gameplay, but I just feel like my gameplay is not good. Um, it's better to have a analysis of what's going on instead of looking at someone just struggling to make anything happen. So, but let's see about this game. But if you would want to see my gameplay and decision making play by play, I could try to do it. I do not think it's possible though, but if you want to try, if you want me to try, I'll try it. So just comment on it if you want. Uh, I mean, cannot do any worse than I'm doing right now on the ladder. So I hope I can get back up, but I mean, if it is to try and make you guys entertain, I'm willing to do the step to make that happen. But let's focus on this game first. And here we go. We'll be after wave one. Yeah, during wave one. Wave one happening. There will be little bugs here. Sorry for that. Yeah, but no matter, we only saw 20 on 1 from Tyrion and Shiggy. I do not know. Yeah, we cannot see if there was king up or not. It doesn't seem like it was king ups. Oh yeah, there was king spell here. Okay, it just doesn't show here. All right, and uh, well, it looks like we cannot target this king. Okay, so we'll see what will it be, but we do have a percent here on that side. But let's first talk about the builds here. You have Nightmare on Screwber. First mistake here, doing the Gargoyle here on Wave 2. You don't need to show any units when you have a Nightmare. Nightmare can hold Wave 2 without any problems, even to a Lizard. So here, a bit too much of a build, not hiding his units. Tyrion going for a Fundamental start, Badger start from Shiggy, and Gate Guard start here, gone wrong from Gonza. I mean, it's on a single Snail. There's a way to hold Snail with these units. If you put that PoE up front and have this one on the wall with the same positioning, you hold the Snail. So this is just the emphasis of the Gate Guard being a DPS unit more than anything. So you see that PoE? If that PoE was this one, then you would have held last wave. So maybe you want it to leak, I'm not sure. Normally you want to prevent that, especially with a Gate Guard, since you're that weak on 4, and any gold you lose prevents you from being prepared for wave 4. Sending 80 onto the Nightmare here, the Nightmare will be able to clear that since there's 3 Gargoyle and even additional Polywog. So again, a bit of an overbuild here. 3 Gargoyles are perfectly fine to hold approximately any sense because of their share tank value here. Fundamental will not struggle here, especially with an Infiltrator. Infiltrator is also good on 4, and he might shift on 4 to get the Orchid on 5. So that will be to see. He goes to 7 workers, so pretty safe stuff from him. Well, not safe stuff, aggressive stuff, should I say. 7 workers is quite aggressive, but he has the units to make it work. He's still vulnerable to a lot of stuff next wave. Doesn't have the best tanks, so that's why going for the Orchid could have been a good option. He's going for some income here. Well, he's going for the break even. And that's against the Gate Guard that we discussed. And now this positioning, I mean, it's all about how does the Pilgrim tank here. So the Pilgrim is not tanking anything. With a tank after the PV dies? No, so that is the worst case scenario here. Not using the Pilgrim as a partial tank, only bad tanks here. And yeah, this is a big leak from Gonza. So this is the missing gold that Tyrion needs for the Orchid here. So that will be make him able to hold that. And I hope he realized that if he goes for the Orchid boosted, he's gonna be fine here to any sense. Scroober probably going for... I'm tempted to say it will be a Green Devil, but we could see also the APS, but I much prefer the Green Devil in this position since it's also long waves that's happening right now. So income sense from Shigen Gonza, try to hold the big sense from Scroober and maybe get them also back. And Tyrion get exactly the Orchid, but cannot boost it though. So is that the best solution? So it's a bit tricky here because yes, you want to protect your Fire Elemental, but at the same time, this Orchid is not tanking much. So you kind of need your split here to have summon to your Orchid. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm not sure that a not boosted Orchid is able to hold that. Against this 120 cent. We do have a 120 cent also on Shiggy, but he does have the Pilgrim, he does have the Badger, but the Pilgrim is not partially tanking here. And in a sense, I think it is better in that situation here because there's the Cannoneer, but still will be a massive leak here. Let's see the Nightmare. Nightmare is struggling a bit, but those Seraphim should be able to clear everything. And Tyrion will be able to clear all except the Dino. And here, Shiggy leaking a lot of low HP creeps. The gate guards from Gonza will be able to survive with the Pilgrim. So this means this will be a full cover here, as well as a full cover here. Here we go. So the big sense went out. Now the game has stabilized a little bit. They do decide to go for a little bit of income sense here. But that's because... oh my god, what is Tyrion doing? That's 11 workers on Tyrion. He's feeling pretty confident in what he has now. So, worker lead from Tyrion over Shigi and Gonza. Gonza is the lowest worker, despite holding previous wave, and well, that's partially due to the early leaks that he had. If we look, he lost a total of 50 gold. Yeah, he lost a total of 1 worker, and that's the worker that he missed from Shiggy. And Tyrion is just super aggressive in his worker push, but he needs to be careful now because he needs to income send quite a lot to compensate and sustain those workers. So let's see. The Growl here should be sold to get either Tempest, Chieftain, or Harbinger. So we'll see what they decide to do. It did go to 9 workers now, and now the total workers are equal, but the income sense now will come from Gonza and Shiggy, and this should be held by both Scroober and Tyrion. I mean, you have a bunk here against those lizard, and also here you'll have the Badger also. So let's see, Gonza did not sell the scroll, which is not something normally you want to do, just because the crawl is just so bad value on Magic Wave, and does not really contribute anything, and so using its ability to get a better unit, it's often the better choice. But this does mean that he will not leak that, of course. But next wave, he kind of need an option here because he doesn't have any pierce damage. And so he should struggle here a little bit. But the Fire Metal just barely surviving. And wait, we said bunk could have been good. But yeah, it's gonna be okay here. But only magic damage remaining, so this means there's a slow hole. Or maybe a slow leak, because if this dies, I don't think the polywogs are able to kill the lizards. And they do not, so a small leak, slow leak, does benefit the 13 workers of Tyrion. Uh, yeah, he's quite fine. Next wave, he's able to cover that just barely with his fire elemental. And with the bunk, we'll be able to hold the income sand. Well, talking about income sand, I don't know if Tyrion is able to hold that income sand. He does protect the fire elemental here, so he should be fine. Because there's no moles, no hermits, so he should be fine to the income sand. But the action will be more onto the lane of Shigi and Gunza. We do have the Growl that has been sold to have more Leviathan Tempest. The Chieftain will not get out another eel, which is not ideal. The mold goes down, but the Tempests are away from the wave, meaning that the ability is not working, and so full wave will be leaked by Gonza here, except one unit. And same thing for Shiggy. Most of the wave will be. Wait, is that a hold? No, that's not a hold, but it's close to one. But this is massive king damage for Tyrion and Scrubber, and yeah, Tyrion was fine against this income sand. Just barely, to be honest, because only this is remaining. This fire elemental is remaining. So very close calls by Tyrion, but when you can get out with this kind of push, the game just becomes so much easier for you because you get so much more income than the others. You feel quite safe on most of the wave because no amount of workers can really pressure you, except if the opponent decide to go for a high push as well. And let's see what Shigi has. So he's going for more pilgrims, quite vulnerable on wave 10. Wave 10 should be fine for Gonza, and wave 10 should be fine for Scrubber, but not really for Tyrion. So Tyrion on fire, and Shiggy is saving on him. And we do have a mole coming onto Scrubber, and income from Tyrion Scrubber onto Shiggy and Ganza. They should be fine holding. Looking at the values, they're close to value. Scrubber is overvalued, so he should be fine against the mole. It's all a question of if the double stays alive quite long. Yeah, it does, so it will be a hold here as well. But not looking too great for Gonza. Yeah, okay, he'll be fine anyhow. I mean, the Cannoneer does great deal of damage against what he has, but he will be fine. And we do have a hold from Scrubber. And now looking at the workers, we do have worker lead on Scrubber and Tyrion. And she just catching up on Tyrion, but that's before he receives a send. Does Tyrion have an answer for 10? He's probably looking in his reroll. I don't have access to that information. But here, Disciple should be enough. So yeah, Tyrion accept the fact that he will leak with 10, so only prepares for next wave. Gonza going for income, King Ops. And Scrubber overvalue, knowing that he needs to protect Tyrion here. But this is a 25 gold shutdown, so 25 gold going on Shiggy and 25 gold going on Gonza will lead to to them having a little bit of the money back. Tyrion no longer quite ahead in workers, but it is now Scrubber going to 17 workers. And there's no aggressive spells on the board, so that's why he does feel a little bit confident here. Shaky leaking, yeah, that was to be expected with his units, but when you're behind and you try to catch back up in workers, that's not what you want to see happening. But let's see now. We do have a that is 5, 2, 7, 8. That's 8 worker lead in total for Tyrion and Skruber. They're going for income here, and that might be the opportunity that Shigi has um, and was looking for to possibly push ahead in workers, or go for a. Oh, okay, I don't like this positioning, to be honest. Well, I think it can work, I guess. Yeah, will be interesting to see how it works out. But Gates, starting Gates now, so he has two choices. Either he stays low worker during the mid game to try and generate as much value with those gates, or decide to push and try to be aggressive and put pressure on Tyrion. So it will be interesting to see what will be the chosen dynamic here. Uh, so we do have push coming from Gonza. We do have a push as well coming from Shigi. But will they overtake Tyrion? That is the question. I don't think so. I think they will stay safe here. Look, Shigi only pushing one workers, knowing that he needs to generate value through the gates. And he's not the greatest on wave 14. So maybe already thinking about wait, no, wait, he's pushing more. He's pushing more. Okay, they want to put pressure on them, but for what wave? Okay, now the worker count is equal. The gold is 100 ahead for Kruber and Tyrion, but that's purely due to income. So let's see. Probably they wanted 13, but now seeing the fire, like Tyrion predicting it will be 13 here, going for the Fire Lord into Phoenix next. I suppose he gets enough if he goes for uh, some income send, but they don't want to send next wave. If you're Tyrion and Scrubber, you want to send on 14. So that's a bit problematic for them because they know they will receive a big send next wave. So are they confident to try and resist it, or do they match and send on the strongest wave of Shiggy? So of course Gonza is not the strongest on 13, but Shiggy does have the power here on 13, and they do decide to skip. So this is a massive turning point here. So will the send of Shiggy and Gonza bring them back into the game and try and resist the 14 send? Because if this send fails and does not generate enough for them, then they will have some issues on wave 14, especially since Gonza is just preparing for 14 here, for 15 and not 14. So it will be interesting to see. We do have Hellgate here, very good on this wave, but not on next wave. So it is all a question of if Scruber and Tyrion are able to hold that Sen. The Sen is quite good, honestly. The Phoenix is not thinking, just thinking. Oh, he's not even thinking the split. Okay, now it is. So missing a bit of damage. Here the Doppels are exposed and now will die. But it is not a massive leak, or if it is a leak even, is it a leak on Tyrion? No, it's not. It's a hold from Tyrion here. So the skip was massive here for Tyrion and Scrubber, staying true to what they wanted to do and having faith into the Phoenix. It will result to some king damage, I suppose. But does the 4 get sniped here by the Aquas? It will be sniped, so the golem will not even reach the king here. So very, very nice cover by Tyrion. The massive push coming out for him to try and end the game on 14. Now you see the effect of the Philsen, massively under, massively under, maybe 200 under for Shigi, maybe 100. Yeah, 100 on Gonza. But what are your units for that wave? Like, yes, you have an Iron Scale, but I mean, that's not enough, right? Okay, what's going on here? uh, okay, he made up his mind. So he wants to protect the gates as much as he can. So let's see here. I mean, you have Pegasus, yes, from Gonza, but all your units is not that great, except for the Leviathan for damage. All the rest is like magic damage, so not really what you're looking for here. But let's see here. Half of the wave has been killed here from Shiggy, but the wave is just so strong against all the nature defense from the gate here. So, I mean, despite that, only a small leak from Gonza. And what would it be for Shiggy? Shiggy is doing very good compared to what I expected. Okay, only a low HP. Okay, there's 2 slugs and the rest is only the sand. So they will survive this. And now the question is that did Tyrion overpush or is the pressure enough to get them on 16? Because 16 is the next point of contention. But is it for everyone? So I think it's very okay. So we don't have a massive push here. I mean, Gonza will be still under. We will have a still under for Shiggy. Yeah, they are still under. They are not catching up onto Tyrion and Scrubber, but Tyrion is having 31 workers, but still 380 under, boosting this Orchid and going for king ups a little bit because he has no worker lead. Alright, so everybody holds here, but now everybody needs to send on wave 16. But who does that benefit the most? I mean, Gonza does have the Hades for 16, but no frontline. So that's an issue. We do have a gate from Shiggy, but doesn't seem enough, honestly, if you only have that. Tyrion does have the Phoenixes, good tanks. And we do have the Doppel from Scrubber. So the sands are coming in from everybody. We're gonna check on the values. If we look at the values, the gold on the board, the gold on the board is in favor of Tyrion and Scrubber, despite having the worker lead. We do have the Tyrion and Scrubber being more under than Shiki and Gonza. But at this point, it's only a question of who holds the longest, because I believe everybody's leaking that. And I do not like the play here of the second star color here. But let's see, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe that is the correct play. But I do feel that there's way more value into going for more gates and using that Magician Aura a little bit more, as well as your Butcher buff. But here, I do like that Star Color tanking. This one is used as a DPS still. Tyrion leaking massively here and quite fast. Scrubber still holding strong. We have a leak for Gonza. And this is not enough. This is not holding for Shiggy, but we do have a hold from Scrubber here. So despite being 400 under, the Doppel paying out a little bit more, and this is enough to kill Gonza and Shiggy. So nice attempt, and the push from Tyrion just was too good to allow Gonza to have a safe hold, despite him not pushing too much workers. So despite Tyrion leaking quite fast here, to a very good stand here, the Kraken pack, very good. So despite that, we did have Scrubber holding the longest because he did not have as much pressure from Gonza. And Gonza not having the front line, yes, having good DPS units for that wave, but no front line means that you will be struggling quite a lot here. And that's why you want to mix in some tanks into your build and not only DPS units. Like, yes, 280s is quite impactful, but if you only have 180s, go for those two Pegasus and go for instead of the 80s another King Claw, then you do way better because your mana is used more extensively towards that Hades instead of sharing it amongst each other. So overall, it was interesting to see the back and forth, but there was never a moment where Shigi and Gonza really had any pressure on Tyrion and Schubert, except in the end. Yes, Tyrion did leak Wave 10 massively, but was covered by Scruber. So they had this neat little interaction, and the call for the skip on 13 was massive here on Tyrion and Scruber, because uh, you've been saved on a long time. Like, you received on 10, and then you didn't receive 11 and 12. So you need to have complete faith into that Phoenix being able to hold despite being undervalued here. It's not massively under, but still, uh, huge faith. And Scrubber wasn't that far under, it's just Doppel is not really the best here damage wise, and your only tank is probably the Haven with those double fish in the split. And the 4 is just perfect against that because you take a long time to do your damage, and the 4 just ramps up faster than the Doppel. So that's why Scrubber leaked while Tyrion held. Um, just because of I think the Phoenix was the game changer here. Like the prediction from Tyrion preparing already for 13, knowing that Scrubber is very strong on 12. Like say, yeah, I'm gonna leak 12, it's okay, but you're gonna hold it. Um, so neat call allows them to go for 14. Wasn't that bad of a leak, but at this point, you needed to hold if you want to get an advantage here. And yeah, we did have a small push from Gonza and Shigi. I mean, almost held from Shigi, and one would wonder if he goes for additional gates instead of that starter. Would it have been better? Because it was not a full send onto him. It was only a 320 with king ups. So I mean, Scrubber and Tyrion pretty much expected it was a race, so they tried to put some king ups. They knew that they had the king HP advantage, so they just needed that little damage to reach. So it could have backfired, honestly, but they did manage to make it work. And that hold from Scrubber was massive in the end here. Uh, and not leaking as fast as Tyrion did um, means that they take the win for this edition of the Daily Cast. And I hope you liked it and have fun in your game, guys. See ya.